Peace, prosperity, and blessings on this beautiful Saturday. Let us take this time to breathe together. We will participate in the 4-7-8 breaths, and it goes as follows. We will inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale 8. Again, bringing our conscious awareness into the present moment, inhaling. Exhale. Once again, inhale for 4. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. It is now Saturday. It's the last day of the week, and as promised, I will be uploading today because my goal is to come on at least once per week. It almost got away from me. It was quite a busy week. So y'all like my look today? Yes, honey, it's given slight goth, slight mystic. You don't know what's going to happen. But it is actually quite appropriate because today's topic is, drumroll please, infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. So I am sipping on my good, probably can't see it, mommy juice. That's what it says, mommy juice. It's got the little fur on the bottom of the glass. After a long day of mothering and what have you, just wanted to come on and relax and share this time with you. So I've had a great week. I hope you've had a great one, as I already said. It was very busy. I still have a lot coming up. But along my journey, I found myself expressing immense gratitude for new levels of understanding, new levels of spiritual growth. And I prayed and I said, to the divine, what do we even need to focus on this video? What do we need to talk about? Because this isn't just about me. This is about us. I get to express myself. You get to learn something new. Hopefully one day we'll go live and I'll be learning from other people too when the time is right. This is about our collective humanity. Okay, that's what this whole YouTube channel is all about. Ways that we can thrive, okay, in uncertain times. And of course, just sharing, my personal experiences, as well as, like I said, the wisdom that I have gleaned on my path. It's been such a blessed week. So infinite possibilities, infinite possibilities. When I prayed, I got this urge, if you will, a spiritual nudging, okay, to talk about what is it that we can immediately begin implementing into our lives to have a higher quality of life. My greatest joy is to be the best version of myself, so that when I interact with others, they're getting the best version of Tori, okay? And that we are hopefully having a very healthy and dynamic and empowering mutual connection. What is it that we can talk about that can help us ascend, as the Ascended Goddess, title of the channel, to our next level? Okay, what is it that we need to know to help us be assertive, okay, in gaining the quality of life that we want to live for ourselves, our families, our friends, our communities, the world at large? Ironically, I do have up on my wall here in my dining room a board that I put up right at the new year, and it is called my 2022 wishing wall. And there are a number, about 12 different things that I prayed for and asked God for, because my New Year's resolutions, it's not just about me, it's about what do I want to see in the world? What kind of future would I want for my children and grandchildren and future generations? And so, of course, I asked for the obvious things like, please end the pandemic, take that away. We've had enough of that. Healthier relational boundaries, healthier relationships in general, things like improved health for everybody, and one of the things that I wrote, ironically enough, I looked at it, it's non-neurotic ways of dealing with things or with living life, non-neuroses. Okay. Having said that, I realized that I had a great read that one of my aunts had bought me, God bless her. I guess I want to say maybe even 3 to 4 years ago, and I'm one of those people who reads about 7 books at once. So I read about half of the book and I put it down because something else piqued my interest. I started reading that, but it was a really great read. Well, the name of the book is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Okay, so backpedal, to about a week ago. I'm scrolling through YouTube and up comes this podcast, and lo and behold, the guest speaker is Michael Singer. And I thought, yeah, I'm familiar with him. He wrote that book called The Untethered Soul, and it's about, having this mental and emotional freedom to be your true self and to not live out, quote unquote, your neuroses or the crazy ways that we handle life, okay? Because life can be, a lot sometimes for all of us. So, I'm all about, like I said, I consider myself the queen of self-care. I consider myself a self-care guru. I have learned the hard way that you must put yourself first before you can help anybody else, before you can mother, before you can love her, before you can work, before you can do whatever you want to do. You have to put your self-care as the priority, okay? And in that understanding, I want to talk about ways that we can move beyond our, what I call response cells, the ways that we respond to toxicity, the ways that we respond to dysfunction, the ways that we respond to hard times, out of a survival mode mechanism, the ways that we just panic and, I got to do this, I got to do this. I came to realize that is not really the essence of who I am. I'm just responding to something that may be stressing me out, or something that's happening, or mental health crises, or anxiety, or different experiences or situations that come up. But that is not the core of who I am. And one of the things that was so profoundly impactful when he's a doctor, Dr. Singer was a guest on this podcast, was the fact that he talked about, how we get stuck kind of in these modes of behavior, these patterns of thinking, and we assume that that's who we really are. And he says, people were coming to him saying, hey, well, I've been through this and this horrible thing happened, this traumatic experience happened. And he would ask them a simple question: how do you know? How do you know? How do you know you have depression? How do you know you went through a divorce and it was so devastating? How do you know that you lost your job? How do you know? How do you know you were sick and you had all these stressors in your life? How do you know? Well, it's because your inner witness, or AKA your consciousness, your spirit, the part of you that is infinite, was an observer during those times. How do you know you had childhood trauma? And he told a really good story about when he used to work in the prisons, and he had this big burly prisoner come up to him. Hey, my name is, he said his name was Creature, and I think he listed all his criminal credentials, and he just kind of looked at him like, oh, okay. But to make a long story short, that Creature, as he was calling himself, ended up completely transforming his life, becoming, on the other side, as far as being a helper and helping other people, live positive lives and change their lives. He completely turned his life around and became, a healer in a sense. All right. And so it just, again, is an example of how we start to live out roles. Oh, I'm the trauma survivor. Some of us are so attached to our trauma stories that we think that is who we are. But the reality is, again, we are infinite beings. Okay. That was so encouraging to me because I've, like I said, always been very attuned to, wanting to know how to be the best version of myself, how to get the most out of life, how to make an impact. And it really truly is what happens when you know who you are, when you're self-aware that you are infinite consciousness. You are one with the creator of the universe. Okay? So, I have a few notes here. Number one, what matters most is how you view yourself. Well, how do you view yourself? How did you come to view yourself the way that you are now? And that smoke, guys, is my incense, because it keeps my spirits up while I'm talking. But how did you come to view yourself? Are you the problem child? Are you the family scapegoat? Are you the difficult person that's hard to get along with? Are you a black woman? All of those things are so limiting. Are you a struggling person? Are you going through this and going through that? Or are those just experiences that are separate from who you are at a pure level, at your purest consciousness, your highest and best self? So according to psychology, now we move away from the spiritual side of things. According to psychology, who we are is really shaped by hereditary, your family or your genetics, hereditary ways, things that you inherit, your environment, what you grew up in, what you saw, the church you went to, the people, you interacted with on your life path, as well as experiences, So, you can go through things that can completely change who you are if you're not aware that you're separate from that experience. You can go through something really devastating and just assume, oh my God, I am this suffering, miserable, horrible person, until you recognize, things like divorce, trauma, even happy times are really just experiences. That's not the truth of all that you are. That to me is just, it's simple, but it's so truthful. Okay, so who or what shaped you? Who or what shaped your identity and beliefs? When you think about your family of origin, when you think about the way your mama and them did things, the way, if you're the descendant of African American slaves, what do you think they may have gone through to have to survive, difficult and sometimes deadly situations? If you are a white person, what might be your worldview in ways that you carry guilt or shame or remorse? As you say, well, I wasn't doing it, but you have that, whole white privilege thing going on. I'm just throwing these things out as some examples. Maybe you're just a kid and you just think, oh, I'm just a child, what do I know? I just, I live the way my parents want me to live. But the truth is, even children, okay, according to some scholars say by age 5, you already have a personality. That's why it was hopeless. When you start trying to change and bend a child to your will after age 5, forget about it. Their personality is pretty much already established. So even children have their states of consciousness, So it's an amazing thing. But sometimes it can be detrimental if we have allowed, again, the family of origin or what I went through to be, okay, that's my story now. And I've mentioned this before, according to the Buddhist tradition, and talking about something called a state of nirvana, when you transcend all of these restrictions and limitations of living. I believe two things. One, you must forgive. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive the people you feel wronged you. It's the only way. Otherwise, you're carrying that in your body. You're carrying that in your cells. You're just existing. Like some of these people that are always trying to one up the other person or list off their credentials. I'm this and I'm this. Because really at their core, they're shame. They don't feel good about themselves. Okay? They've never forgiven, so they're just carrying around all that karma. And let me tell you something. That is heavy butt energy. It's heavy to carry that around. And not only that, when you carry heavy karma, it limits your creative capacity. It limits the freedom of expression. Your heart is really kind of closed off from the best version of yourself or the best of life's experiences, because you're having to hold on to it takes so much energy to hold on to your misery and your pain and your anger and your rage that things didn't go your way or that somebody hurt you or whatever, God forbid. The second principle of nirvana or complete transcendence is, after you forgive, you must detach. And as I said earlier, so many people are attached to that story. Oh, this is who I am. This is who I am. This is who I am. And all you're doing is making excuse after excuse after excuse. Your brain starts getting involved with the process, helping you to make more excuses to stay stuck, to stay limited, to stay in a certain way of being that leaves you feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. And then you see somebody else and you're like, why they get to... Because you don't know what level of spiritual work they did. Shameless plug. I do consultations, for people. I am a mystic. I am an intuitive. And, understanding deeper sciences has completely transformed my life. At one point, I didn't sleep well. I was stressed all the time. I was even hospitalized for depression and things that just overwhelmed my soul, But I was able to transmute all of that negativity into something empowering. Because, see, I stand in my truth. I stand in my power. I don't lie. I love my makeup and I love my wigs, honey. I like to look cute. But one thing about it, I don't wear masks. Even before the pandemic, I'm going to tell what I feel in my soul. Okay, even if it steps on someone's toes, if it hurts them, it's not to be offensive. It's so I can get my soul right. Okay. I'm not carrying and harboring all that resentment in my spirit. I'm just not going to be able to do it. I'm just going to say, you know what? That's not my path. That's not who I am. Okay, so again, the two things are forgiveness, detachment. Detach. Even when you get to the level you want to be at and you start having money and blessings flowing in and you're doing all the things your heart desires, stay detached. Stay detached. I'm connected to everything, but I'm detached also. I'm connected. I know I'm connected to humanity. I know there are people who are suffering. I know there are people who are joyful. I know there are people somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, I'm not carrying all of society's burdens on my back. Not even my relationship. My romantic partner, I'm not carrying that. I'm not carrying family trauma. I'm not carrying the wounding. I'm not carrying labels assigned to me by society. Well, this is how you are. This is what you're supposed to do. This is where you fit. This is what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not carrying that. That's not my cross to bear. That's not my burden to bear. Okay? What I'm doing? This is the question. Is what I'm doing truly aligned with the truth of who I am? Me personally, I'm not really a sad person. I mean, I'm bubbly. I'm buoyant. I always have a pep in my step. Honey, I am something else. I know that about myself. Now, all that other stuff I was carrying had nothing to do with me. So I chose to just let it go. And that's what Dr. Singer says. When these experiences start to come up in your spirit and it's there, it's bothering you, something triggers you, a voice, somebody said, something someone said, a feeling that you get, breathe. Instead of pushing it down and hiding behind all, the masks that we wear in society, let it come up. What you afraid of? Let it come up. Ooh, well, they said that right there and I felt some kind of way. But you know what? I choose to release that at this moment. I choose to move forward with my life. I choose to let go. And, in astrology circles and the day Saturday, today's Saturday. That's why I'm wearing all black. Okay, because Saturday is named after the planet Saturn. Okay, and in astrology, the planet Saturn deals with our limitations and our restrictions. And it also is a great day to declutter. That's why, if you notice, a lot of people instinctively get up on Saturdays and start deep cleaning their house. Well, it's a great day to release clutter and throw things away and get rid of things. So it was kind of good that I came on today. So if you're saying this, you don't have to do it on a Saturday, but Saturday is just a day that's advantageous, if you will, in terms of releasing negativity. Releasing stuff that doesn't serve you more. Let it go. Straight like that. And what always it's I've always been intrigued by the unknown. That's as a mystic, a clairvoyant, an intuitive, and that's the reason why I think I suffered so much, because people were telling me all kinds of things throughout the course of my life with their mouth. But I'm an energy person. If you're an empath, you relate. Like, dude, you just yeah. But you're looking at it like, but your spirit is saying something totally different. Your energy is telling the truth on you, sir, ma'am. So that is the part of us that we call the unconscious or the shadow self. Okay, because people, like I said, can say anything with that mouth, but that energy don't lie, baby. That energy tells the truth. And the best thing to do is get some quiet time sometime, or just be mindful, like observe yourself. And that's what he talks about in the book, about what is your consciousness. It's the part of you, like I said, that is observing you having these experiences. Otherwise you wouldn't even have known it occurred. That's how there's more to you than meets the eye. That's a very powerful thing if you think about it. Okay, again, infinite possibilities. You are infinite. You can be anything. You can let go of all that stuff and just rise up into your spirit and fly. You can soar. You can create any kind of life that you want for yourself once your energy is clear. Highly recommend salt baths. I also make custom blends. Okay, to put in that bath water, them spiritual baths and everything, cleanse your aura, come out looking new, honey. You won't be looking like your old self. You have to do that consistently, especially if you're an empath and you're in an environment where you're exposed all the time to different energies. You're carrying that stuff on you and you don't even know why you're tired and heavy. Okay, so recently I went to this museum here in Atlanta called the Hooked Museum, Hooked. And it's hosted by Emory. Don't ask me where it is. It was in my GPS. But anyway, it was an amazing exhibit, and I highly recommend it. And basically, it just demonstrates our relationship with addiction. And when you think addiction, you think, oh my God, that's the crackheads, that's the alcoholic. I gotta put some more lipstick right here. That's the compulsive shoppers, that's the workaholic, those people. I don't have those issues, honey. I'm very together, as it were. I have something, I'm just so perfect. But unfortunately that may not necessarily be the case, because we all have these little vices, whether it's your phone, on Facebook, I'm kind of guilty of that, or some other social media, or we all have different things that we just get hooked to. And then we beat ourselves up about it, or we make ourselves feel better if we have the good kind of addictions, which is like, oh, I work so hard and everything like that. I'm just, until I get sick, I just work myself to death, like you're going to get an award for that or something. Or you eat excessively and things like that or whatever. So I don't do drugs. I just, honey, anything can be addictive. Okay. And that's why I love the fact that they made that exhibit, because it helps us all understand that we're all connected in that world of addiction. The thing that is most intriguing about addiction is, human beings are wired for pleasure. This is true. Contrary to religion, contrary to all these strict, rules and regulations that people put on themselves, they try to deny that aspect that our Creator gave us. Like, just think about it logically. We are wired for pleasure. But because if you think about it, if we did not have a brain that encouraged us with a reward system, which is, through dopamine, a chemical in the brain, nobody would have any babies. Nobody would be motivated to do the things that they do that benefit other people. I mean, the world would be a disaster, because nobody would eat. People would starve, to death, because it's like, But when you eat a good meal, I mean, you feel good. That's normal, okay? But when you eat certain foods that have an addictive response, then you get into those extra releases of dopamine. And we I read a book where we call those false fixes. You have healthy fixes, like your almonds, a little bit of dark chocolate, a sip of wine. It's okay. But you drink a whole bottle of wine, you getting into excess dopamine. When you are inhaling a whole chocolate cake, see, now you've hijacked your brain to where it is now needing more and more dopamine. in order to feel that same level of high, which you never get. Everybody knows you. They call that chasing the dragon or chasing that high. You never find it again. So it's a trick. What we can do is to find ourselves with habits and rituals and routines that facilitate healthy fixes, things that are good for us. Good conversation, a nice meal prepared and eaten mindfully, where you're savoring with all 5 of your senses. Okay, this is the thing that really stood out to me with this, in terms of infinite possibilities. I made a keen observation when they had these videos and monologues of these women who had overcome addiction and were in recovery, and I noticed this underlying theme. They all had this in common: low self-esteem. It started with somebody mocking them as a child, saying their skin was too black, or their nose was too big, or they were ugly, or they didn't fit in. They felt like they just didn't fit. Like some people, like me, I never felt like I fit in with my family, even the family I was born into. I just was always like, nobody gets me. And people have told me, nobody knows what you're talking about. And maybe not you, but somebody will. Somebody does. And I hated that feeling because I just wanted to be one of the number. But then now, I realize I am what my lover and I call lagniappe. Shout out to him because I know he's going to watch this. Lagniappe is a French word for a little something extra. Okay, get into it, girl. Get into it. But I am a little something extra, and I'm okay with that. It's like that meme says, maybe I'm not extra, maybe you just basic, honey. It is what it is. But anyway, all jokes aside, it's about finding a place of love and acceptance. Everybody's not going to be a rocket scientist or a movie star or, the top of their class or whatever. Just be yourself and be cool with that. Like most people get addicted to stuff because they don't like who they are. They think they're confined to the family they came out of, the trauma they went through, don't say bad words. The stuff they went through when they was out in the streets, the hard times and, the family trauma and drama and karma and all that stuff. And it's just not so. The reality is that you can be who you want to be in an infinite way because you're unlimited. There's a part of you that is untouched by any of that, by human hands, by trauma, by drama. It is your spirit. It is your consciousness. It's your higher self. And you can tap into that reservoir and be exactly the best version of yourself or who you want to be. So again, the low self-esteem was an underlying cause. Like we get addicted to this stuff because we don't feel like we belong, have all these negative feelings about ourselves. Love yourself. Love yourself. I don't care if you feel like nobody else loves you. Love yourself. Get up, honey. Get you a good old wig, an old nasty black lip, honey. Put you on some costume jewelry and a little perfume and live your life, okay? Because you got to love yourself before you can love anyone else. That's the truth. Love yourself every day. Excuse me. And then the second thing that was pronounced in that exhibit was rituals. Do you know that many of these addicts, you got to go see it because I'm really not doing, the visual representation of our relationship with addiction was astounding. You have to see it in person. It will help you if you know a loved one who's struggling with addiction, if you have addiction, it just reminds you like we're all in this together. But the second most profound thing was the fact that the low self-esteem, and then the other thing was rituals. Like a lot of these people were not even they weren't even really getting the same response from the substances. It was about the way they got ready for the substance. They didn't even realize that their brain had been programmed by their habits, by their routine, by their ritual to anticipate that reward. So they really were addicted to the anticipation of the reward. There was even a display with birds, birds in nature. These songbirds actually receive a dopamine hit every time they get a note correct to match with the other birds in the community. So over time, that's how they perfect their song. Okay, this is nature. This is how we are. This is normal. Like people, can we normalize pleasure? That's the next the next video is going to be about tantra. It's going to get very sultry and sensual. Okay, because really, like, can we normalize wanting to be happy and have pleasure? Like, God made us this way. God has made us this way. But it's the rituals that they were addicted to. Like one guy was, taking his credit card and chopping up that, that substance, that white powder. And it was the sound that it was making. It was, the way it looked. So if you can have habits that are negative and that bring you down, you can have habits that lift you up. You can, even the way you drink your wine. I bless my wine to bring me health, vitality. The Bible said, drink a little wine for thine infirmities. Okay. That's one reason I'm glad I grew up in the church, because I know all the Bible teachings, the good ones. Eat the fish, spit out the bones. But yes, I bless this wine, to bring health to my cells and to beautify me and keep me looking 25 forever. Why not? Okay. There. Or whatever. Same thing with your morning coffee. Drinking it with an intention to say, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to do my breath work. I'm going to be centered. I'm going to expect great things to happen to me. The way you stir your coffee, that can be a ritual. The way you bathe, when you get in the shower, I've heard of these people that use their shower or their bath like a portal to another dimension. Your mind is very powerful. You get in that shower and you visualize the stress of the day just being cleansed off of you. So I'm talking about strategies. These are just some ideas. Choose your highest self. Choose the part of you that is infinite. The video is getting way too long. And one day I'm going to have all those fancy editing tools and stuff. But for now, I'm just in the moment, living. Okay? So that's where I'm going to end today with infinite possibilities. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe and live with ease. Until next time, peace, prosperity, blessings.